city is in mourning. Our hearts are heavy. We lost two good men who devoted their lives to protecting all of us. Officer Ramos, Officer Liu died in the line of duty, protecting the city they loved.
He's not a popular man in many circles, the mayor, and how shocking it was, how terribly shocking this was, and just a few days before Christmas. Imagine their families. Bob Parks, blogger and writer, joins us now from Washington. Bob, what's the feeling today in Washington, for example, and elsewhere? Because I mean, this has shocked everybody.
Well, I think, if anything, we are watching the aftermath of the act. And I think the most telling right now is the response from the Reverend Al Sharpton, who over the weekend was decrying the violence, but he was also decrying the fact that he was now himself and other quote-unquote civil rights leaders are now receiving death threats from who knows where. And it's very sad that when the protesters, many of whom he instigated with some of his prior fiery rhetoric, were marching down the streets of New York City saying, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them now? He was not anywhere near a microphone decrying those chants. But yet when this crime occurred, which was inevitable when you look at the people who've been stoking this racial animosity, that he's now claiming to be a victim.
I get very impatient with people who claim they've had death threats. I mean, they're awful, but you know, there aren't many people in public life who are at all controversial, and I include myself, who have not received death threats. It doesn't mean very much. The sewers breathe. There are vile, abusive, racist comments about all of us if we give an opinion. So I don't give much credit to that. But let's talk about what happened. This man, the murderer, he had shot his girlfriend. She's still alive. He has a series of, he's a crime. He's a career criminal, but also mental illness. I'm not trying in any way to forgive what happened, but was it political or was it a crazy criminal committing a terrible act?
Well, it's funny. In this country, our media tends to label such shootings as lone wolf. It's convenient also that the same media will call them lone wolves when they are Muslim. This man was a recent Muslim convert. If you look at his Facebook page, it's full of the same ISIS-loving, jihad-wanting rhetoric that we've heard. So, but, you know, if I may change this direction about who is responsible for this, I go back to the 60s radicals, many of whom are in places of higher learning, indoctrinating young people. You go out on any of the streets where these protests are happening, you will see mostly young people reciting chants, many of them from the 60s, hey, hey, ho, ho, and then you will not see the professors. I've seen many tweets during the day of teachers goading these young people on. Even though the mayor of New York is calling for no protests until the funeral of these two dead police officers, there are still young people who are saying, oh no, we're going to, you know, you got to get back out there and protest. But it's these young, it's the 60s radicals who want to, you know, keep the struggle going. You've got your Al Sharpton, you've got the President of the United States, you've got the Attorney General, who are all stoking this. And the young people are their useful idiots out on the streets, creating the disruptions, and they have no concept of how they are being used to, I don't know, destabilize the country. Because, you know something, if there's a bad person out there, who do you want between you and the bad person? These protesters or the police?
Yeah, I agree 100%. We just looked at some pictures of officers and police staff saluting these men who have died as they're driven away. There are many black faces there. There are many black police officers. In Washington, I'm not sure the percentage, but the number of black cops. The idea that this is a uniformly white police, the two men who were murdered, one is Hispanic, one is Asian. This illusion has been created that it's all white cops spending all of their time trying to give young black people a hard time. Now, I believe there is an issue, there is a race issue that has to be dealt with, but that image is grotesquely inaccurate.
Exactly. You know, the first night of the D.C. protests, Laura and I were out and we were shooting video, and I had one of the protesters get in my face and say that she was protesting to save my life. Now, I am twice her age. For some reason, I have managed to do something as trite as obey the law. But where are the depictions of the stereotypical depictions of black youth who are creating trouble? They're coming from Hollywood. They're coming from the music industry. The same racists that were outed with the Sony emails are the same people who are creating this perception of black helplessness, going back to the 60s radicals who tell black people and tell women that you can't make it because you're black. You're going to be raped because you're a woman. And they exempt themselves from the very thing that they are pushing on young people who they are sending out into the streets, that are ramping them up to the point where they commit violence and murder.
It is incredible. We've got about 15 seconds left. Next few days, what are you predicting? Christmas and New Year, it'll surely calm down.
It may calm down because some of these young people got to go home to get their presents.
Hey, have a wonderful Christmas, even at such a time as this. Bless you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Michael. You have a Merry Christmas.